Hello, everyone. I'm Joe, aka Eldridge Homer,
I like the sound of that.
And I am Bill, aka Lost Star Wars.
The Force is strong in this one.
and we are the Trade Federation, the only podcast dedicated to top Star Wars card trader.
And now available on RetroZap.com, a really cool website that everybody should go check out.
Yeah, I think anybody who likes Star Wars or really just any sort of nerd culture stuff at all is probably going to like that website, especially if you like this show. Our show might be the least cool thing on there, and I think our show's pretty cool. So
yeah, there's some awesome stuff. And last week I mentioned the Padme article. This week, if you're looking for something really cool, somebody is reviewing the various comic books. Dennis Keithley, I think his name is. And his reviews are really good. You should check those out.
I will do that myself because I am about to start buying into those digitally tomorrow on your recommendation.
Oh, and by the way, on the way home today, I picked up the Lords of the Sith at the library, so it did come in.
Ah, yeah, I'm in the middle of that too. We should just have a podcast where we just talk about Star Wars stuff in general, or maybe we should just make this twice as long, and everybody who only cares about Card Trader can quit after 20 minutes. So, here's the big thing today. We're recording this at 8 p.m. on Vintage Thursday, and the Old Ben Vintage card that dropped today is still available, which seems nuts to me.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's just a big shift from the last 3 weeks, and I think it feels really good to not have that pressure of running out of cards that fast this week.
So it's got to be mostly due to the fact that A, it's in the 5,000 packs now. B, there are 2,500, which that is the highest count vintage, right?
Correct. By 500.
Okay. And the odds were 1 in 75. So I'm going to guess that some people who didn't have a ton saved might have been a little turned off about the chase this week.
Yeah, it was an expensive chase. Let me think back. Last week they dropped the odds down to 1 in 50, but prior to that they had been similar. They had been 1 in 75. I think it got up to 1 in 80 on something, and yeah, it just relieved a lot of that pressure, a lot of that server pressure. I think there were no issues. There might have been a little bit of lag. I didn't open a ton of packs. I ended up trading for it because I did have some extra cards. I opened up maybe 70 packs or something like that. Or no, not 70 packs. I can't remember how many. 15 to 20 packs I think I opened up. 70,000 credits I think. I didn't pull one and then I traded for it. But I was opening packs right away and I didn't really feel too much lag. Maybe like 1 or 2 packs were a little bit laggy, but it was pretty smooth going. So, nice job on making some corrections by Topps.
I feel like I sort of have a never tell me the odds attitude for cards that come out. And I'll take a few shots, like even on a card I don't care that much about. I've talked many times about how I don't really chase the vintage or whatever, but I'll usually try to buy a pack or two and then it crashes and I just give up. Today I bought like 4 or 5. I mean, not very many, but I didn't have any problems at all. I was pretty impressed with it. I didn't get one, of course, but I wasn't that heartbroken. So what do we think is the chance of it still being available tomorrow when connections drop? I mean, that would be huge.
You had just checked, right? And it was at like
1751 as of my last check probably 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so that leaves 750, right? So there's 750 left. I think it could be there. I think it'll be gone really fast if it's still there, but I think it could be there. Yeah.
That would just be so strange. Do you think going forward that they will have the higher counts and the longer odds like that for vintages, or do you think it's just going to be something where it changes week to week?
I bet they change it up here and there. I could see it dropping low again, especially on week 10. There's a lot of people out there that are speculating that some of these week 10s are gonna drop down pretty low, and maybe we're gonna see some higher week 9s as like a little bit of a soft week before the big week 10s. I don't know.
That would be pretty interesting. I sort of think that, I don't know, the crazy odds just, they're a turnoff for me, even with so many cards. But I wonder about the value of things because clearly there are some people who only care about how many are out there. Like, if a card is 6,000, it's 6,000. It doesn't matter that, like, for example, the silver mint packs, the odds were not, I mean, they weren't terrible, but they weren't great, and the packs cost 10,000. Like, that figures in for some people, but for some people, they're just like, who cares? It's just 6,000. I'm not giving you that much for it.
I think initially the folks who spend a lot to open all these packs and pull that silver mint, that they initially value it pretty high. But I think after a week or so that the card has been out and they start to spread around a little bit more, that I think they all generally settle into what they should be. And I think more of it depends on the appeal of the card. I think the mints are just, people just love those. I think people are all over those, kind of like they had been or have been with the film quotes. You know, those are two hot sets. And I think people are a little cooler on the shreds, and they were quite cool on the Jedi Strike team. So, you know, a shred that's 5,000, I think people are probably not equaling that at a mint press that's 5,000.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. As we sort of transition into talk about different sets here, it was interesting to me. I went to find out the other day, and I told you, I looked at my green Mace Windu Jedi Strike Award, and I found that there were only 598 of the green, and then for blue and orange it was even less. Blue had 287, and orange had 45. So that was a set a lot of people really didn't get behind, I guess. I'm going to say that's probably like the least popular set. Wouldn't you guess?
Yeah, it's an interesting set, and that you shocked me when you had texted me that number, because it was, those greens were like 5,000 counts, right?
Yeah, there was plenty of those floating around.
Yeah, so 5,000, and when you saw the Hoth Awards, and maybe people cooled off since the Hoth Awards, but when you saw the Hoth Awards, those were like half. A lot of those were, the number of awards given out were about half the count on of the regular cards, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think that worked out pretty well. That was like the first award that was given out, wasn't it? Or close to it, the Hoth ones. So I think they were kind of like, awards, this is going to be so cool, and thought that maybe the award cards would be worth more than they eventually were, which is another discussion we're going to have someday in the future.
Yeah, which makes me realize that I need to go and get myself a Mace Windu, because I didn't collect the Strike Team, and as I said, that was my first experiment to see about collecting something post award, and I fully intend to get all of the greens of that and get the award and see, kind of compare in my mind, you know, the experience of getting it pre-award and getting it post-award. So that, knowing that award is so low, I think I need to go out and get one before it becomes kind of hot. I could see that card, you know, being a little more in demand because there's so few of them.
That would be an interesting thing. You just said something about that the other day, about how it seems like Hoth is kind of coming back around, and all of a sudden people are wanting them now. Do you think that's Android people, or do you think, what do you think is the cause of that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Android people, in that the number of people is just so much bigger. I think that factors in big time. I also think it's mostly Wampas that everybody's after. And I think this trend is continuing of first cards in sets being hotter than everything else. And it doesn't hurt that all the Wampas are a bit lower than some of the other ones. I think the Rebel Soldier might be lower. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm thinking in terms of the reds, because that was the highest that I was collecting. And I think the Rebel Soldier might have been 300, if I'm not mistaken. And the Wampa was 500. But I think people really want the Wampa. I mean, it's a really cool creature and a great looking card. But I think the fact that it's the first from the set, people love that.
I wonder if what the cards look like figures in for a lot of people, because a lot like the Wampa is a particularly good one. The Rebel Soldier, I feel like, is kind of goofy looking. I don't know why that is. It just seems like, this is the picture you chose. But the one that really threw a lot of people, I think, was the ATST or something, where it was like, it seemed like it was kind of a far off, almost grainy looking shot of one in the distance or whatever. Everybody was annoyed about that.
There were like, a big wide shot with 6 AT-ATs on the screen and all sorts of like speeders. And this thing was like tiny in the background, and they zoomed all the way in on it. It's kind of how it seems. I like that card though. It makes me feel like, because it's sort of blurry like that, it makes me feel like it's in the snow, like in a blizzard or something.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say like a Bigfoot sighting.
That's the Wappa.
Yeah. They got a clear shot of him though, no problem.
Yeah, fully focused.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about sets this week, and I figured we would break it up into marathon and non-marathon sets and talk about like what's our favorite one and what's our least favorite one and why. So like from the marathons, what would you say is your favorite and least favorite set, just out of curiosity, basically?
I think my favorite set from the marathons is the Connections, and I love it because it's the set that tells a story the most. Not even flipping the card over and reading the back, which it has some great text, but just the visual of these two images side by side, this connected characters and this story that it tells between them. I really like that set a lot. How about you?
I think my favorite is probably Galactic Moments. I don't know why, and it might be because I'm pretty sure Ralph was my first insert. But I don't know. I just like the little factoids and stuff they have on them, and some of those have been great looking. A couple of the like the movie postery ones, the Phantom Menace one I think looks really good, and was it the most recent one? I don't know. There's a lot of them that look really good.
Yeah, the Clone Wars one was another movie poster. Or at least DVD. It's the same picture on the DVD cover. I imagine it's the movie poster, which makes me really hunger for a movie posters set, which supposedly they're going to be doing, and I'm really looking forward to something like that. And I too love the Galactic Moments set. Another one that tells a story. Each card has a story. It's a moment. It's a special moment, and I really like that set too. It might be my second favorite.
Yeah, it's funny because my least favorite for some reason is Connections. I don't know why. I don't really have anything against it. And actually I like reading the back of them, but the art on the front doesn't do it for me. I wish there was a way that they had done like, I don't know, just bigger pictures, less taken up by all the little arrows and swoops and swirls or whatever. I know some people really like it. You obviously are a big fan, but I don't know, just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, the pictures could be a little bigger. It's not I don't think it's my favorite graphically designed card, but just kind of all around, just the sense of it and the kind of the theme of it I really love a lot. And I think it's one that really, I think that one and GM, Galactic Moments, they both really kind of stick to their theme, and they don't really stray from the vision of the set, whereas the Topps Choice one, which beautifully designed cards, might be one of my favorite looking cards. There seems to be not a ton of continuity. I mean, there's some. Originally we thought it was sort of this less popular character set. Let's give some love to the characters that aren't so such big hits. But we've seen some really big ones like Darth Maul.
Yeah, I was like, for the first couple, it was like, okay, you've got Porkins, obviously everybody likes him, but he's not huge. You've got Wicket, I mean, who cares? I like him as a card or whatever, but he's not a character that I would have been like, hey, he's one of my favorites or something. And then when Sabine came out, I was like, really? Is she underappreciated? I feel like she's one of the cooler characters on Rebels. And then it was just like, here comes Darth Maul, and we just had Savage Opress, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little confusing to me. I feel like these are just more really cool guys. Actually, some of the guys they give us to vote on for fans' choice, I feel like all 4 of these, who cares about these? These should be Topps Choice.
Yeah. The Greedo, I was just through the roof when the Topps Choice Greedo came out. I think that card looks amazing, and as you know, I'm a big Greedo fan. So and I think he counts as one of those underrated characters.
Yeah, I'll give you Greedo. Although I feel like if you're a super fan, you'll probably like Greedo anyway. But average Joe Star Wars might just be like, who's that guy? I don't remember that guy.
Most people know him by the re-edit and the Han shot first movement.
Yeah. Yep. Man, Greedo is such a good character. Every time I can always recognize you in the fan feed because of your Greedo in profile picture that you've got there.
Which is a photograph of the Greedo action figure. It's the Star Wars Black Series 6-inch Greedo figure, just a zoomed up profile shot of him.
That's awesome. So, first, like or did you say what your least favorite? I don't think you did. What would you say is your least favorite marathon set?
Least favorite? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard. I like them all, so I don't really have one I dislike. But if it had to be least favorite, I might have to say Bounty. But it's hard to even say that because I really like it, you know. But it might be Bounty. It's one I don't get that excited about. I do love pulling the pack, and you can see before you even open the pack, it just your money goes up, your credits goes up. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but you can know beforehand because you can see your credits go up instead of down.
I think I caught that the last time I pulled one. It was like I went to open the pack or something, and all of a sudden it was like I feel like I saw it go up. What? And then it was, of course, like the first card in the pack. I was like, yes, I knew it ahead of time.
Yeah, and that part of it is fun. I like the little bonus credits. I don't know why I can't really say it's my least favorite, but it's, you know, I love Bounty, but I guess if I had to pick one, it might be Bounty. Let me tell you about the pack I pulled. So it was on Tuesday, and I was opening Bounties, and I saw the credits go up, and then I opened the pack, and like the second card was the Galactic Moments. So I was like, oh, sweet. This was the first time that I had ever pulled 2 inserts in one single pack.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I think the only time that's ever happened to me was in a Geonosis pack, and it just worked out that there were like 3 cards left I needed, and one of them was one of the ones I needed, and the other was one I needed, but like it was like the red, and I easily traded it for the white and blue, and that was how I completed my set.
Yeah,
I was pretty happy that day.
That's a great pack.
So moving away from marathons, now with the special sets, there's like, you know, there's a ton, but if you had to pick a favorite and a least favorite from what we've got so far, and we should probably talk a little bit about the fact that just last night they launched the new Locations set. I mean, we'll get into that in a minute. But
yeah, we should talk about the 2 new sets after.
For sure.
I hate to jump on the bandwagon this fast, but I do think that perhaps the Mint Press might be my current non-marathon favorite non-marathon set. I mean, that gold Mint Press has just like mesmerized me that I've gone out and sought them out. And the gray doesn't look that great, and the black looks okay, but the gold one just looks phenomenal.
I think I agree. I know it's almost a shame that such a new set might be my favorite one, but yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get all the golds, but I do agree that the golds look better than the silver or the black. But yeah, it does. It just looks so good. There are some people who don't like it. I've heard a handful of people who said they were ugly, and I do not relate to that opinion.
Yeah, it's not like an embossed. It kind of seems like it's supposed to be like an embossed metallic sort of looking thing, and the silver is a little gray, you know. So the cards look a little bit flat. They don't have that kind of raised embossed look that they seem like they're supposed to have very well. I think the gold has the most depth, but I think that's where some of the complaints are coming from. But I don't mind at all. They kind of look almost like old timey sort of documents, almost not coins to me, but sort of like these bills.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean when you say that. All the little like detail work around the edging and stuff is really cool. So as far as man, I feel like that was a couple of boring answers, but
well,
but it's true, they're good.
You know, I can talk about the planetaries. The planetaries I've put a ton of time into, and I really love it. And I guess that it's not 100% that there's a planet card award for Geonosis, because it said get your award, and it usually says get your award and your award card. So I guess we'll kind of see on that. But if they continue to do what they did with Hoth, and the final thing is a planet, I just love that. And I kind of have this, if they do continue, I kind of have this, not a theory, but this wish or dream that one day they'll say, okay, if you have all the planets from the 2015 planetary sets, you'll get the galaxy card, the galaxy far, far away, and it's a picture of like the galaxy, the stars or something. I think that, I don't know, that's a dream of mine that probably will never happen, but I would love to see that.
You've told me about that before, and I think that would be really cool. I've often wondered if they would ever consider sort of reviving old, what people call dead sets, and be like, somehow take like just a couple cards from Hoth and a couple, maybe an award card from Geonosis, plus one of the Jedi Strike, and if you have all of these, there's some, they could come up with some reason for why you need them all, and then give you an award based on that. So suddenly all those old cards would be hot again. But I wonder if a lot of people would be worried that anybody who had cards that were old might have just quit and there'd be none sitting around. To me, that would just make it more exciting.
Right, and we're seeing that already anyways with a lot of, or at least there's speculation of that with some of the week 1 cards and why they're so sought after and hoarded and highly priced. But right. I think they could do that with if it was like a story, and you had to find the connecting characters within this story from these different sets. It'd be pretty neat. Challenges, I guess they would be.
Yeah, that I want it to happen. I think it would be cool to reinvigorate some of the ones, because it's to the point now where on the fan feed, people's lists of cards they will not accept is longer than the cards that they want. It's like no Hoth, Geo, Jedi Strike Team, Shred, whatever else.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you gotta expand your mind a little bit, I think.
Well,
but, I mean, you can't hardly blame them. I guess if you don't want it, you don't want it.
And we're starting to see Hoth come back too. So, I mean, these lists are gonna change, and the trends will change, especially as more and more fans join and look for those older cards.
So do you think it'd be fair to say, I'm going to guess for most people, they could probably just say least favorite Jedi Strike Team? I mean, I think the award cards kind of bear that out.
Most commonly least favorite set. I would guess. It's a weird set because it's basically their baseball cards, and the Jedi are wielding their lightsabers as if they're batters with a bat or something like that, and someone's throwing strikes. It's a very baseball cardy kind of set, and I think it's kind of neat and all. But yeah, the demand was so low, and the cards were just trading at such low values that I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I liked it when I first saw it, but this was back in the Mace Windu days, so I was not gonna be purchasing packs for 5,000.
Yeah.
And I just pretty much was like, forget it. And then I ended up acquiring like 4 of the 5 as add-ons to trades I would have accepted anyway, because people were just treating them like filler. So in the end, I figured, well, I'll just finish it. I might as well get my Mace Windu card. Now I'm glad I did, because there's less than 600 of them floating around.
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, do you think that's, is that your least favorite, would you say, of all the extra, non-marathon sets?
Yeah, probably.
I guess that's me too. Wow, we agree on too much. We need to get somebody in here, shake it up.
I will say this too. Loved Knight Brothers, and I love anything that's the classic card. So the commemoratives and these new card art sets. I love them, and I love that they're a little more readily available. The commemoratives aren't really that high count, but the card arts are going to be really readily available and pretty easy to get. So I'm liking that I can, that everybody can have those cards because they're sweet.
They are pretty cool. I liked the commemoratives a lot. I think I ended up trading them all away, but they traded so well into other things I needed that in the end, I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll try and put them together again, but it's just going to get harder and harder.
Well, they're trading fairly low right now, I think, so it wouldn't be too hard to try to get some as throw-ins on bigger trades.
Maybe that's what I'll do. Well, we got a handful of other things to power through since we pretty much agreed across the board on set inserts. I know there's somebody we're thinking about giving a little shout out to. Do you wanna handle that?
Yeah. So this is my happy little May the 4th story. I was just hammering the fan feed with trade offers, and somebody sends me a 1-to-1, and this guy was just all caught up in May the 4th, and he had heard the show, and was just like, "Hey man, here's a free card. It's May the 4th," and I was like, I can't take this card, and he just kept insisting, and this super nice guy, and we've been chatting. I've been chatting with him here and there, and it's just great to meet someone just friendly, just willing to chat, and generous, and I tried to convince him to go. If you have extra card, you should go give them to some of the newbies, or head over to the subreddit and find some newer folks. And but yeah, so his name is Jose_Martinez_. And yeah, he was a super nice guy, great to talk to and chat with. I was chatting with him today about the possibility of another planetary set and what it could be. And we were going back and forth between Tatooine and wondering if they could ever do Lothal. But yeah, super nice guy, Jose Martinez. Go chat it up with him.
Yeah, I ended up through you from him. That's how I got my silver pressed Yoda. So I really do appreciate that. That was pretty cool. That made my day. Frankly, anybody just talking to me on there and saying, "Hey, we love the show," it's my favorite thing now. If I didn't like this game anymore, I would still do it just to do the podcast and have people send me nice messages about it.
Yeah, thanks for the love. Getting a lot of love on the right inside the game, and that's kind of the coolest thing. You get it on Twitter or on the subreddit, but just getting a trade. And a lot of times, I'm just sifting through bad, terrible, spammy trade after terrible trade, and I'm just kind of like I'm grinding out. And then all of a sudden one of these pops up, and it just makes my day.
As a quick aside to something you mentioned there, we talked a little bit about how they have the new location sets with Bespin. And is it your feeling that location kind of replaces the planetary? Because that's based on what Steve said in the Q&A on the subreddit. I sort of get the feeling that locations is something they're doing now in lieu of doing a planetary set for the month. Does that sound right to you?
It could be. I hope not. But I could see where that would make a little more sense to them, because some of those Geonosis packs some of the cards in the Geonosis pack were in there for quite a while. And I guess that was really, it was still kind of it was still pre, Fat Pack era. But yeah, it's hard. I don't know. I really hope not. I want more planets, and I don't think the end card for Bespin will be the planet. I think it'll be Cloud City, which is a little bit different,
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if they were switching, or maybe they could go back and forth. Like now we do a location, and then next month is a planet. I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Speaking of the Bespin, that thing sold out with speed. It didn't take long at all before all the Bespins were gone.
Yeah, it's Empire Strikes Back. The frame of the card is really clean, and it's got kind of a similar feel to, say, Galactic Moments or Top's Choice, or some of these cards that have this really nice design. So yeah, I think the card design is great. It fits with the kind of look and feel of Bespin, and the colors fit with Bespin too. You get that kind of pink and orange sky colors with some of the blue. Yeah, it's a great looking card and a great looking set.
All right, well, we don't have a lot of other content stuff to talk about, but one thing I know we wanted to talk about just for ourselves, maybe other people think it's interesting, is each of us were curious where the other got their screen name from. So I'm curious where yours come from. My guess was that you're just a big fan of both Star Wars and Lost, but I don't know if that's it.
That is pretty much it. I had my Twitter. It was actually the name of my Twitter account back when Lost was on, and I was watching a ton of Lost, and then I would chat it up with all the other Lost fans on Twitter, and I ended up oftentimes talking about the Star Wars references in Lost and having a lot of conversations about that. So it comes from all of the Star Wars references in Lost. So really, it was more of a Lost Twitter account, because back then there wasn't a ton of Star Wars to talk about. I wasn't really talking a lot about Star Wars. But yeah, so that's where it comes from, talking about the Star Wars references in Lost. And then it kind of conveniently fits now because back then I didn't know, but, J.J. Abrams ultimately directing Star Wars.
That is cool. That's nice. I think your story is cooler than mine. I don't really. I'm a pretty big H.P. Lovecraft fan, and everything related to Lovecraft is taken. I mean, you can't be Cthulhu anything. You can't be Dagon. Any of the elder gods that he came up with are taken with crazy numbers attached. And I was reading some story or something, and someone mentioned something about there was an eldritch omen, and I went, whoa, that's awesome. And I just latched onto it, and when it came time to make my name for everything, I just started using it. There's no danger of anybody else on the internet with a name anything like that. So everywhere I go, I don't have to compete. That's why I like it.
That's pretty cool. I actually do. I'm a school teacher. I'm an English teacher, as you know, but the fans probably don't know. And I actually do the Call of Cthulhu in my science fiction, fantasy, and horror course that I teach, and it's usually a really big hit. It's a great short story.
Yeah, I think pretty much anybody who hasn't read some Lovecraft, you're doing yourself a disservice to not go check that out too. Man, this is such a cultured podcast now. Look at all the cool stuff we're talking about. So a couple things we need to mention. First of all, we have an email address. It's tradefederationpodcast@gmail.com. That's going to be important in just a minute. But you can also follow us on Twitter now @TradeFedCast. And we're on Instagram. Have you uploaded any of your cool trade photos to Instagram yet or not yet?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to get on there yet.
If you want to follow us on there in expectation of all the cool stuff we could post on there, which I'm not entirely sure what I might post on there. Sometimes people say hilarious things in the fan feed, and I might just grab pictures of those and put them on there for fun. But that's @Trade Federation Podcast on there too. But the email address is important because we have a little contest for the listeners going on right now. And here is the essence of the contest. You are going to email us your answer to this question and a little bit more info that Bill's going to give you in a moment. What we want to know is, back in episode 2, Bill told a story about trading away his vintage Luke. We want to know if you can tell us what he traded that vintage Luke for.
In addition, if you want to perhaps get some of your analysis read on the show, I'd like to hear what you think of that trade at that point. You'll probably hear the show on Monday or so, and that'll have been about a week and a half gone by since I made that trade. I made the trade the day of the vintage Luke, just after he was pulled from the chase. So, in addition to the contest, we'd love to hear your take on sort of how I did with that trade, and then we could potentially read some of those right here on the show.
Yeah, I think that's a cool little way to let people just get some of their, their cool content that they put out, or if they want to put some thought into stuff we have talked about, and get them, a little shout out on the show along with their thoughts about it. So I think we're agreed we're going to be giving away, as the winner for the contest, everybody who's right, is your name's just going to go into a pool basically, and then we're just going to draw one. Simple stuff. That's why we're doing it by email and not on the sub, so everybody can't just copy the answer or whatever. But So what do we decide to give? We're going to give the 2 Han quotes. Is that right?
Right, and we're going to give both cards to the one winner that is pulled. So the one winner of the contest will get the first black and white film quote with Han, and I think it was the third black and white film quote, the Fuzzball film quote.
Right. Yep. Totally simple. But you might pick up a couple cards. Hey, if you have them already, you could always kindly give them to someone or turn them into some sweet trade bait. Those things are still pretty hot, I think, especially the first one.
Yeah, for some reason, firsts are just hot all over the place.
So do we have anything to add for this week, or do you think that is about it?
I think that covers it.
All right. Well, I guess that is it for us this week. Remember, if you want to, you can head over to iTunes and give us a review. If you just want to email the show with questions, comments, we could even do like a reader mailbag thing. If you want to send your questions, we can answer those on air. That's Trade Federation Podcast at gmail.com. Like I said, you can follow us on Twitter at TradeFedCast, I believe it is. Yeah, that sounds right. I'm sitting here second guessing my own information. That is what it is. It's easy to find. You'll find us on there. And on Instagram at Trade Federation Podcast. So plenty of places to follow us, track us down, send us comments. And of course, in-game, as we've both said 100 times, you can just send us a message anytime. We both appreciate that.
Indeed.
All right, that is it for us, everybody. Have a good one, and happy trading.
Happy hunting.